Gentlemen, it's time for the game. It's the quarterfinal, Fly versus Moon. Best of 5 to find out who moves on to play against 1-2-0. Let's do it.
Here we go! Moon versus Fly, our first match in the playoffs of the Asia DreamHack Finals. This is a rematch of the WC3 from November. These two players, some of the best in the world, some of the best in this matchup. And by my side, the wonderful Todd to enjoy this wonderful game with me.
Yeah, it's great to be doing this match here. I gotta say, Moon has looked very impressive in this tournament, in this group stage beforehand, but he lost to two orcs in it. He lost to Soin and he lost to Lin. Now on paper, he's facing the best orc against Night Elf in the world, at least from what we've seen recently out of Fly, is that he was so impressive in it, and he's been playing really well. And that's a little bit worrying for Moon, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we saw Moon earlier in the match against Soin. That was definitely far from very solid. Definitely quite shaky there, not what we're used to seeing from him. Chad is convinced Moon's gonna lose. The results sort of indicated from this tournament. Neo as well said that Moon's gonna lose as well, but I mean, what does that tell you, right? One thing that is going his way is their most recent encounters did sort of favor Moon. Yes, there was one loss in there as well, but out of the last 4 matches, Moon was able to win 3 of them. But now the deck is reshuffled, and Fly, we have seen before in this matchup, absolutely terrifying. A long best of 5. I like the point that Carson brought up earlier. Probably the bigger series with fewer vetoes seems to favor Night Elf a little bit more, with them being very versatile and Orc having bigger problems on some maps. But yeah, this is going to be a wonderful match. By the way, I really hope we go to 5 maps, because the 5th one, the decider, would be Twisted Meadows.
Of course. As a spectator, like, we always want a little bit of casino, you know, a little bit of shuffling, a little bit of gambling with the items to get in there somehow. But yeah, Moon adding the Huntress all now here on Echo Isle. I like how they talked about the diversity of, the possible diversity of strategies as well on the desk. There is a chance that on certain maps we see different stuff, but overall the main meta in the matchup currently is really to go for that Keeper and a lot of tier 1 units a lot of the time. But yeah, I do hope that maybe we see Talons one game, maybe we see, you know, Bears and MGs depending on the map as well. Fly knows how to scout against everything, he knows what to expect, what is all the standard builds. And he has really shown a deeper understanding of the matchup than almost any other orc as of late. But yeah, you mentioned it, that's interesting that Moon won so many of their recent series, but Fly did win the big one in the WCG Finals, a tournament that has always eluded Moon.
Yeah, to this day still. He's going to have to try again next year. Will Fly again score when it counts most? This would certainly be a big jump in prize money here, the DreamHack Asia, for $55,000. Keeper makes it to the shop, steals the telestaff away, and that's not good for Fly. I think he popped the speed scroll to try to get that telestaff, right? But doesn't get it. Instead, he gets the circlet and the level 2 from this camp. Very good items on the blade. And a peon. Wait a minute. Peon hacking into the trees. Don't tell me he's putting a tower back there.
That certainly seems to be what's underway there. Very interesting. Fly with something that I don't think Moon should expect in particular. If he was to check for it, I'd be really surprised. That would mean that they've played recently somehow on ladder, and he already did this, and then Moon would be aware that this is a possibility. But if that tower completes and you reinforce there with the Blade Master to spot that gold mine, it could be pretty dangerous. Moon applying a lot of pressure here right now. What do you think about the shop in that position? It feels like it's way more exposed, no?
Yeah, definitely so, but also early game, the creep route for the Orc is very important. You can also go for an opening, popping the speed scroll on the way and trying to steal the last hit of the Magi. But speaking of early game and last hit steals, this was a very passive early by Fly. He let the Keeper freely creep up to level 2, and the Blade Master is just going into a creeping game, which normally, from the general rule of thumb, seems to be not what the Orcs want. Normally it's all about preventing level 3 Keeper at all costs, but Fly here is much more willing to go into a creeping game himself. Now with his grunts towards the Merc camp, but a wonderful scout by Moon. He saw this with a Wisp around the corner.
Yeah, Fly going for some creeping here at the Mercenary camp. Most definitely hoping for a Claws +9 here. He's already got double Circlet and a Claw. But those can start adding up very quickly. And
with experience, 1 treant away from level 3. Wow, this Blade Master leveling like crazy.
Yeah.
Moon tries to take out the Shadow Priest. That is the Dispel.
The Huntress here almost died. That would have been the level. He can also abolish some of these treants.
There it
One of the
is.
grunts is keeping the wizard busy. There it is, yeah. I guess you go Windwalk level 2 here. No, he goes crit level 2. Wow. Because it's Echo Isle and there's so few camps, and it's unlikely he will get to creep his blade to level 4 because he's gonna be adding a Shadow Hunter in a second. Which, by the way, like, what's going on with the Shadow Hunter? It hasn't started yet. He prioritized the Lodge. Did he forget second hero?
He sort of did, or rather he went for the mercenaries more importantly. He thought they were more important. He went for grunts and mercs and lodge, all very expensive. But now he lost the mercs. Berserker and Shadow Priest both have fallen. The experience of the Berserker was denied, so the Keeper is not level 3 yet, but they're still dead. Was that early game worth it? Shadow delayed, lots of mercenaries lost, but the Blade is a beast. With his Ring of Regen and the heal potion, he can actually stick around on the enemy side of the map for a long time.
Yeah, I guess a new staff should be available as well by now. Maybe I'll grab that here in a second. Brute Strength on the way. We got a Shaman being produced. And we've seen as well, like, one of the latest series that we saw here was Soin against Moon. The Orcs know exactly when they need to attack nowadays. They have a very good rhythm. Like, they'll fight, spend a lot of the mana on their Shamans, go for these purges, be cost effective, and then pull back exactly when they need to and re-engage exactly when they need to. It's such a high contrast and difference to how the matchup was looking for a while last year, where the Orcs were having just the hardest time winning even a single map against Night Elf for a while.
Yeah, it was really interesting how that has developed, with some buffs in there for Orcs as well, but I think mainly with really good play. Normally, a nice thing about Echo Isles for the Orc is, well, first of all, they can easily counter-expand on tier 2, but also the Shadow normally creeps to level 3 very easily with the Merc Camp. That Merc Camp now being gone makes it a lot harder. Maybe you can still do it with the Murlocs and the Greens. The Blade Master putting pressure on the Entangled Goldmine. Does he want to commit the big healing potion already? No, not quite.
He doesn't have any salves to heal here. He's gonna have to head all the way home. We have Serpent Wards first on the other side here. From Fly, who's getting a burrow at the Expo. Wait, is he not blocking his Expo at all here? If he wants to make it on the right side? Seems like a bit of a scary positioning for a second.
Yeah, I know what you mean. This could be a Spiral expansion then. Shout out to Spiral, who nowadays plays Night Elf, so that's what you get, Spiral. But the Shadow's still struggling with his own level 3. The Murlocs would be the next logical choice, but Moon always with the Wisp Scout. Wonderful scouting here by Moon. That Creepjack at the enemy Merc Camp really catapulted him forward in this game, and the Night Elf definitely with the lead, but not an insurmountable one. We have seen the magic of level 3 Shadow before, and that should be acquired here, but, well, as we said, because the Merc Camp missing, it's taking quite some time.
Those items on Moon's inventory here, lots of claws, gloves of haste. You can start transferring all of that over to the Keeper here in a second, and once that guy picks up or gives the healing scroll to the Alchemist, he's gonna have some pretty good fighting potential with that little bit of extra damage. But yeah, already +1 being added on. The shop, very well, nicely timed for Moon. Where is it actually? Oh, he made that in the main base. We saw Moon with a lot of Moon Wells, and usually the shop between main and Expo, or more towards the Expo to defend. He's gonna get a cancel on the expansion here. Fly out of position for just 1 second. Moon with the perfect timing getting there.
That was a super last second cancel, by the way. That was like on 5%. He only got like... He's disked. I'm pretty sure he's disconnected. Is he though? I mean, it's Fly. He loses the Blade Master inside of the map. Well, he's back in the game now, but the Blade has fallen. He had the Tele Staff and the heal potion. Did he maybe miscalculate? Uh-oh. That is a horrible start for Fly. And by the way, guys, this is the best Orc map in the pool. And Fly might be losing this one.
He lost the Blade against no dust, I think, right? I mean, there is some owls around, but Blade was like in an open space where he shouldn't have been detected, so maybe he dropped for a second. There's no way he's playing without sound, and he didn't hear. He's got that beautiful Hello Kitty headset on his head.
Also, the expansion cancel was so late, if it even was a cancel. And now he's having to defend here without his Blade Master, without the first hero, against a mighty 60 supply pushed by Moon. He's even got a heal throw in here as well. The Serpent Ward's the only hope for Fly to hold here, but I don't think it's enough. It's not looking like it's enough. Moon perhaps cruising towards his 1-0 lead in this series.
Yeah, Fly missing the Blade Master in this fight. He had crit level 2 as well. That would have helped so much. He needed that. The tower not quite finished on the expansion. Moon breaking through completely, taking out all the Serpent Wards. The expansion being targeted by all of the piercing damage of the archers, and the Shadowrunner is going to get targeted down. It's going to be a safe and easy first map win here for Moon.
Ooh. Rude awakening for Fly, man. He's had a tough day so far today. He lost 2-0 earlier against 1-0 very clearly, and now drops the first map against Moon, where a lot of people thought that Fly was gonna have the edge on, as I said, the best orc map. Echo Isles, rough start for the Chinese. I don't know what it was. It looked like a mini disc, as you said. I also think he dropped there for a moment. No reason otherwise to lose the blade. You know, normally that's the Fly meme. He loses the Blade Master early, but fights his way back at least sometimes. It hadn't happened too much in this tournament yet. Now we see it happen. And Moon off to a good start, and still with a chance here to make it in the semis.
Look at this. Look at the size of you, Remo. What is going on here? It has to do something about that.
Better take a step forward. I'm only used to normally standing in the middle there at the desk, but here we go. We switched around for this one. Next map is gonna basically be Moon's choice. We're alternating here, 1, 2, 3, 4, between the players' choices. And the decision, number 5, would be Terna stand. But apart from that Blade Master loss, also the early game. Was that the right call by Fly to play it so passively, to give the Keeper level 2 so freely? On Echo Isles, you can sort of like on Last Refuge, play hyper-aggressive and prevent the Keeper from leveling up even to level 2 safely. That obviously slows down your own Blade Master's progress, but it is something you can do, although not done so often. Early game in this matchup, absolutely crucial. Delaying the opponent as much as possible, especially from the Orc side. But yeah, that first game not transpiring the way we thought it would.
I really wonder if making the burrow an expansion where he made them... Let me take a step back. Was intentional, or like did he maybe slightly misplace the burrow and he was like, okay, I can't make the Great Hall above that because then it's like a little bit too far, so then he made it under. That definitely looked like maybe it was a mistake here, but I'm not sure. And yeah, the Blade Master, I mean, once you lose that, it's just always going to be so hard to come back in this kind of game, especially being level 3. It feels like an eternity to remake. If you're the player that lost your hero here, and he didn't quite have the economy to go for the instant revive in the center either.
Yeah, that was definitely the nail in the coffin. But also before that, when he lost the 2 mercenaries that he hired, that is a combined like 430 gold or something, right? That he then quickly lost. Some of that experience went to the Keeper, and that delayed the Shadowhunter by so much. That delayed the level 3, that delayed the counter expansion. And Moon got a pretty straight up win here. Creep the Keeper up to 2, at some point to 3, expand, mass, push, win. But I think a lot of that game really comes down to that Wisp Scout. That Wisp Scout at the Merc camp that allowed him to find the Creep Jack was the key for Moon to take control of map 1, the Orc map. Now we're going to Concealed Hill. Deceivingly, it has a fountain. A lot of people think this is a good Orc map, but I don't think so. Normally, the Keeper here has a much easier time being able to reach level 3. Lots of little green cams sprinkled around the map. We have the first nighttime being very effective for the Night Elf, with Ultra Vision, with Telestaff, and so on. And a lot of this game will again come down to the early. How well is the Keeper going to be doing? Are we going to see a Creep Jack who is going to take control early? We're going to see now as we move to map 2, Concealed Hill.
Let's see. The winner of this match faces 1-0, I believe, right? In the semifinals?
He does, correct.
Ooh, I mean, whoever it is, that's going to be a big one. 1-0 has been looking incredible in this tournament, but of course right now they cannot think at all about this. They need to think about one another. It's a best of 5, so it's not like Moon is on match points just yet, but definitely took the upper hand here with that first map win. On what you mentioned, it is supposed to be one of the better maps for Orc here out of those 5 maps.
Yeah, you can see it both ways. I'm more on the Night Elf side, because also like the 5th base in the middle is really interesting. Oftentimes it will come to a 2-base scenario, but usually the Night Elf is always the first to expand, has the bigger army, has the 70 supply, and with that you don't necessarily have to push into the opponent's base, but normally what you can reliably get in the mid game is map control, and with that you can oftentimes go up to a third base quickly, although that doesn't seem to be so popular anymore. But what will be coming up here strategically, we will be seeing. What we know for now for certain is Keeper and Blade Master again the choice. Still no Farseer Headhunters. I was hoping to see it maybe once, but it seems like, at least in Asia, everyone agrees against Night Elf, or at least against Moon, that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's really strange, those builds. Like, feels like they are still being experienced with. And what we see is that Europeans or even North Americans are willing a lot more to experience and try out those new strategies a lot more, whether it's been with Headhunters or with the Crypt Lord as Undead. Definitely a little bit ahead with the trying out all those things. I guess you would agree, right?
Yeah, for the most part, definitely. We saw it once at the beginning of the tournament in Lin's game against Infi when he was facing random. He did play the Farseer Hunters every time because the cool thing about that strategy is it works against every race, every build, sort of well. It is rarely the optimal build, but it also always kind of works. And Lin did it really, really well there indeed. Yeah, as you mentioned, 1-0 waiting in the next round, the semifinals. I tweeted out earlier that I think Moon is by far the biggest threat to 1-0. So I would imagine the Undead would prefer to face the Orc, which is unusual to imagine, historically seen how usually Undead's had a lot of problems against Orcs in the past, but 1-0's matchup against Orc is just amazing. And Moon normally tends to do very well against the Undead. But that's going to be a story for later. We're going to focus now on this game. Again, a lot of creeping by Fly. He's scouting with a peon, seeing what the Keeper is up to, and lets him creep up for free beyond level 2, just trying to level up his own Blade Master.
Yeah, it's a great creep route here on this map to go for what Moon's going for, because if this Lord Overseer was level 6, the Entangle will last a very short time and this wouldn't be doable. But just because it's level 5, the Entangle lasts the full duration, so now he's able to secure that early. Gets a ring for it, sadly. I guess maybe he can keep that for a bit early on or sell it, whether early or later on. Not the most useful item. Maybe he keeps it for his second hero if he feels like he doesn't really need the gold right now, which he might not. But triple circlet already on the blade.
He found one and bought two. That is definitely a lot of gold invested, but I guess he's getting some bonus gold from his creeping. Ancient Protector push, here we go. First time I think we see this the whole tournament, right? Orcs always have to scout for this during the first nighttime, and the peon is gonna see it. Sees it pretty early on, AP at around 40%. There's a telly staff from the Blade Master, and Moon realizes, all right, this is not gonna work. He just comes in with a cheeky little play, trying to test the waters, trying to test Fly, but Fly has his homework prepared and won't allow this to throw him off.
Yeah, I like that Moon immediately identified too that this was happening, and he's like, okay, well, I'm out of here. Just cancels, pulls back. Keeper still looking to try and work on getting level 3, but first and foremost, he has to make sure that expansion goes up here. It's always the timing. Oh, he's getting Sentinel already. Look at this. But as soon as that finishes, and it completes very quickly, he's going to drop one of those. And he's actually going to try and kill the Blade Master here. And ideally save his expo, but a triple circlet Blade Master is no joke. And at Tree of Life, he's taking a lot of damage right now.
Funny thing is, if he had gone for Mirror Image on level 2, he would be able to get the cancel. Now without it, perhaps not. Is the damage enough thanks to the circlets? Just barely might be. One more hit, there is the cancel. Blade, does he get away? 40 HP, 35, he survives. That second bought circlet is what enabled him here. Really playing on the edge. Fly knows exactly how much boost he needs on the Blade Master to get the maximum effect out of him. With only 2 circlets, this whole sequence wouldn't have been possible. Fly knows exactly what he needs to do.
It scares me though when he has a low hit points Blade Master like this, and he seems to know that the tree restarted immediately, which at this level players are obviously able to anticipate very well. Moon's just sitting around the area knowing that if the blade comes back, it's Fly, you know, just entangle it, take your kill. Would be very useful. Trying to run around, figure out exactly if the units are maybe on their way as well. And now we got the Alchemist with Acid Bomb first. So yeah, usually here you go Acid Bomb into a healing spray. It's always nice to get Acid Bomb first to creep something immediately with it, just because it makes it so much easier, that armor debuff.
Doesn't look like the most efficient creeping here though. Look at Fly, Moon now babysitting the expansion. He knows it's already delayed, he has to now ensure it's coming up, so the hunts aren't creeping, they're just standing there. So Moon seems severely slowed down. I love Fly's position. Moon went for a bit of a gamble in the early game, trying with an AP push, didn't work, tried to expand, didn't work, was cancelled. What he could have done instead was spread out across the map, send the Keeper in one corner, send the Hunts in the other. Blade Master can only be in one spot, and then teleport somewhere. You're going to be able to creep something and get that level 3, and then take control of the mid game. But he didn't do that. Fly was perfectly on his heels, and I think Moon in a bit of a rough position. But now he cleared out the natural. He finally did get level 3, and the Blade Master. Wait a minute.
The Master being targeted down. It's almost outside of the range.
God.
He might take down with the acid bomb. It's going to be so close. He uses his health to survive, and he barely is going to make it out. Has enough mana here to windwalk, and there's still no dust at all for Moon here. If he would have a dust here, I think that'd be a dead Blade Master, but he has a couple Al available from the Sentinel upgrade on his Huntresses, and he's still on the hunt for that Blade Master. It's not the first time we've seen this. Usually it ends with the Blade Master loss for Fly, but Moon not bothering quite yet here. Why didn't he entangle? He thought there was maybe enough hit points that the Blade might be able to just staff out. So he stayed patient instead, waits for the windwalk to end, and forces his staff out, but the Blade should survive.
Dude, I lost my words right there. That was so close. You had to take over. What was that? 6 HP that he survived with? Jesus Christ. He could have just staffed out after the entangle right away to play it safe, but Fly always on the edge, trying to create as much space as possible. And how much time did that Blade Master buy? If this Blade Master was a support hero in Dota and the Shadowhunter is the carry, he would say, good job, bro. Good job. I'm going to buy the next round of wards. You did really well. Shadowhunter is extremely thankful for that little sequence of events. He's now almost level 3. He cleared out the natural, and Fly might be able to expand here at a decent time, but also might finally be losing the Blade Master. Maybe.
He's under the fountain, so he's replenishing a lot of hit points.
Oh, there's the Shadow.
Yeah. Fly coming in maybe for the fight. I mean, I think Moon could just disengage the Drake here and potentially fight. The Alchemy is already low. That Blade Master is still being targeted. There is Sentinel, there is an Owl just right above this. He's living on the edge. Some thrill seekers. They go skydiving, they go surfing in giant waves, they go mountain climbing without ropes, but the real thrill is when you're running a Blade Master around with 100 hit points around an entire Night Elf army.
And who can do that better but Fly? A small mistake by him. He tried to purge his own Blade Master. He misclicked, purged the enemy Alchemist. Almost lost his hero, but barely was able to save him. Now we're fighting at the fountain. In the meantime, the expansion is coming up for Fly, I believe. He gets the belt from the fountain. Not the best item, but somewhat helpful on the Blade Master. Trading 1 Huntress for 1 Grunt. Who is favored here at the fountain? It seems to be the Orc, I guess.
Yeah, Orc with the high hit points. He has Serpent Wars level 2. Fly, he can transfer the items to the Blade, and he did with the belt and the claws being added on as well. Alchemy is being targeted down. He's gonna have to town polo if he wants to survive here. Moon makes it out of there. He has expansion running, but Fly is getting his own expansion. I see an Ancient Protector coming up though in the left-hand side. He might staff the Blade Master there. I guess it's got to heal anyway, so could get an easy cancel on that if he realizes that's happening. That should be within vision.
He's seeing the AP. Moon probably also placed the AP up there to lure the Blade up there to protect his own expansion somewhat, but Fly realizes I have a Wyvern coming, I'm gonna cancel it that way. Wait, is that enough damage though? I'm not sure. Gonna have to keep an eye on that, as Fly also has more grunts coming, a War Mill soon to go for upgrades, and the Wind Rider damage might just be enough. There's a Peon coming in with a bit more pickaxe power as Fly is still around the expansion. He's setting up the Serpent Wards, but it's mainly an Archer army now. Good against Serpent Wards, perhaps not so good against Purge and Grunts. He's going in, 1 Archer dead right away. Second Archer falls with a critical strike. 177 already, it's crit level 2 again. We have Lightning Shield on the Blade Master, deep behind enemy lines. He's getting entangled. There is still an Invul Potion, gonna pop it now. The Archer's all so low HP. Oh my god, they're all about to die. There's no speed score anymore for Fly. Otherwise, he would be chasing here. How many Archers can he get before he has to fall back? The Blade Master, of course, still low HP. Has to be careful with that one. Shaman now completely out of mana. No more purges. Also, almost all grunts disappeared. Supply-wise... Wait. The Wyvern, I think it died. Behind this chaos, the damage was not enough to take out the AP, so the Wind Rider, I believe, has fallen, but also now the AP is taken out and the expansion should be finishing for Fly. Whew! Stressful moments for both players here on Concealed.
Yeah, and Fly behind this, he realized he had the fountain in the back, so he just went there. He's healing up now. Moon's setting up an attack on the expansion, as he often does here in this situation, because the Huntresses, of course, their attack are really good against buildings. It's very, very hard to repair on time. Fly doesn't have a town portal right now, and I'm not sure he's seeing this coming. Okay, he's repositioning, it looks like, maybe around the area, maybe anticipating the attack of Moon. He's kind of known for doing this at this stage. I already said setting up separate wards, clarity is active. And Moon's still moving in. As long as the whole army is not there, he feels confident enough to engage here.
The Shadow Hunter in a bad position. He might be getting surrounded. He's trying to pop him out. The Blade Master trick. Does it work? I don't think so. Everything the Shadow Hunter is stuck in there, and so is the Blade Master, by the way. Oh, Moon with the play out of nowhere. Kills the first hero, but TP's out after. He knows the Alchemist is in trouble. He's going to TP out after that kill, which, whew, makes it okay for Fly. He's got the gold to Tavern Revive the second hero. That my heart dropped into my pants right there. I thought this could be the game right away and the 2-0 for Moon, but Fly stays in this. But that's going to be an expensive revive for Fly when Moon is already going into upkeep. 55 supply for the Night Elf, around 600 gold, more scrolls, and he's going to be pushing again, it seems.
Yeah, it's annoying, but he has no choice. Like, he really has to instant revive that, start rebuilding the entire mana pool of that Shadow Hunter. It would take a very long time to just remake in the altar. Moon, though, again, like, once he has expansion, that's when he's attacking the whole time. Might be able to even creep the fountain here first, beforehand, before re-attacking that expansion. Getting Alchemist level 3 here would be key for the next fight. There it is. He's got... Actually, it's so easy for him to creep this, too. Like, he's got so many archers to kill the Drake. And the Huntresses can use Shadow Mail to make sure he doesn't lose anything. One archer under threat. Oh, actually gonna lose an archer here. See, even the best in the world, it can happen too. So don't be ashamed next time this happens to you guys.
I'm glad, Todd, that I'm not the only one that this happens to. Blade Master found the Claws of Attack plus 12. That guy has some serious DPS bonus in his pockets. Now up at plus 25, and of course, as we mentioned earlier, level 2 crit already. So this could be some serious damage flying in soon from Fly, who's got a lot of gold, but lumber is the problem. Good thing is, grunts don't cost lumber, and Shaman hardly do. But where's the production? Fly sitting still at 50 with so much gold saved up.
Yeah, he has no lumber. He's getting reinforced defenses. He's queued one more upgrade. He's queued the plus 2 upgrades. It is War Mill. He's not producing units still. Stuck on 50 supply against 65. Wisp coming in this time, Moon. I feel like that was one of the things he didn't do super well in his previous matches against Orc, but he wants to fix that. Brings in a bunch of Wisps. Shadow Hunter completely out of mana. Moon's working with so much supply. They both could use the fountain technically, but it feels like the fight is going Moon's way right now.
Yeah, that heal scroll really turned it around. Moon was about to lose almost everything right there, but the heal scroll changes the course. Heal scroll now also for Fly, but his heroes, or his units rather, still all very hurt. The Blade Master hardly was able to do the big damage with his big bonus numbers, but his big crits. Now going for the Alchemist, might be falling now next. Alchemist, nothing to save him. Invul was on the Keeper. The Keeper being eyed up next, has to use that Invul potion. Fly gonna fall back with a speed stroll, trying to retreat towards the expansion. But I think there's no shop over there, and Moon's army still very big.
And Moon can just go to the fountain. The Wyvern, this is about to die near the fountain. And I think he lost that just now. That gave a little bit of extra experience for the Keeper. He's well on his way to level 5 now. Oh, the value of that free healing here. Plus 2 attack upgrade already up for Moon. A very good supply lead. And Fly, the only thing that he's got going for him is those upgrades, I guess. Like that plus 2 armor will now have completed. He's getting an additional Grunt and a Raider. But yeah, as soon as this Alchemist rejoins that position, he's actually going to the shop to buy, I think, what is probably going to be scrolls. Does he get a staff, though, to get back there?
Yeah, this shop's super important, going to be contested between both. Moon, sitting, camping, chilling at the fountain. I would love either tier 3 tech now by Moon or the third base in the middle. It seems like he has a moment to breathe. But Fly oftentimes will interrupt that moment of reprieve. He's trying to assault. Does he really want to fight into this defensive fountain position? Looks like the answer is yes. Blade Master to the back. If he crits here, there's going to be no staff. Oh my god, imagine. The Alchemist could have been stuck on the other side of the map. But the staff goes through, the Alchemist rejoins, the Blade Master's in serious trouble! It could be happening again! The Blade Master goes down, the Wisp came in with it detonates, and the first hero Fly has fallen! This might be Fly dropping down 0-2 now, without a first hero. How can this possibly be doable? Shadow Hunter committing in deeper against the fountain, he's summoning the Serpent Wards. Code of Beast is in, but the Blade Master is dead. Fly, this is the day where again the meme is alive, he loses his first heroes. But dude, is he winning this without his first hero, without the Blade Master? Are you kidding me? The supply is very even actually.
Yeah, Grunts under a fountain are very hard to take out here. He needs Acid Bomb, he needs some target fire. Lightning Shield on one of those Grunts is doing so much damage to these archers, and now there is Grunts on top of archers. Everything's falling very rapidly. Moon still has 2 heroes and is working with a bit of mana thanks to those detonations on the Shamans.
Oh my god.
The Alchemist has so much mana, but the Shadowhunter is level 5, so the Serpent Wards are doing... I mean, they're doing so much damage in the fight.
Yeah, 30 mana only. He can spam those quite a bit. The mana region on the level 5 Shadowhunter very high now. More and more archers going down. Fly loses the first hero and then wins the fight, taking the supply lead. And the Blade Master now pretty close to being finished, 50% back, but the Shadowhunter also getting surrounded. Moon trying to hold the surround, but he can't quite make it. He's got one more entangle. What can he do with that entangle? I don't think enough. He's only got heroes left. He lost his whole army over here at the fountain, feeling too confident after that hero kill against the Blade, and that's a GG. Fly clutches it back, but holy smoke, was that a close one. Whew, I would be sweating bullets. I would be nervous. We have seen that before by Fly last year in the WCAA. But here, he seems calm, dude. He seems like he's still composed, even after that crazy game. What a match on our second map.
Fighting Orc at a health fountain can be quite risky business, and it proved true here yet again with those grunts really they were not gonna die. These grunts were healing like crazy under the fountain. They finally got on top of archers. There was one last lightning shield to work with. And despite losing the Blade Master, once you get Serpent Wars level 3, it just does so much damage that reinforces perfectly here in this fight. Even if there was an entangle on the Shadowhunter and let's say a surround, there was Staff of Teleportation anyway on him, he would have been able to get out. So great fight here and decision making by Fly to actually engage into this. At first I was a bit skeptical, but I quickly got reminded that Orc is one of those races that enjoys, you know, sitting at this health fountain sometimes.
Yeah, that is oftentimes, you know, the simple argument, Orc lots of HP, Fountain very good, and here we really see it coming into effect, which is rarely the case that two armies just keep battling at a fountain. And they're the archers with, how much HP they got? Like 315? What is it? I forget. It's been going up and down. But yeah, they are the percentage-based healing, not that strong, unlike on the grunts with their 800 HP. They were somewhat upgraded as well, at least one armor upgrade. That was a very fun game. Fly kept his chances alive even after some stressful moments there. The Blade Master was right on the edge, especially in the early stages / mid-game stages at the other fountain on the right side. He bought so much space, that was wonderful. Almost lost him a few times and then finally lost him in the end. But there, he did his job, I suppose, and Fly able to bring back the series. So important, right? To get the 1-1 here now. If he was to be down 0-2, this would have been almost undoable.
That upgrades. The +2 armor for Fly was a massive big deal, actually. I was like, why is he getting this first instead of breaking upkeep? But it helped him out so much eventually when he got this, because in terms of damage, he already has critical strike level 2 and a pretty buff Blade Master with 2 claws and 2 circlets. He has Serpent Wards, so it's a lot about, you know, you never want to be like all damage, no sustainability. You want to add sustainability to your army. Like, yes, he's got hit points, the fountain will help, but that +2 armor upgrade, his units were just not dying in that fight.
Yeah, those grunts. I mean, it seemed like Moon put all of his eggs in the Blade Master basket, or, you know, trying to kill him. He got him, but after that, all the steam was gone. Blade was a little too low mana, and I like what you bring up. You don't want to be pure damage only, you also want to have some kind of sustain or save ability. That's why we see Mirror Image in this matchup a lot. That's what Fly opted for on level 4, but in that fight, didn't have mana because of the Wisps. The Wisps seemingly almost able to win that game for Moon, but not quite, which ties up the series and brings us to a best-of-3, basically now, between the two. Bringing us also to our next map, Last Refuge, where we've been saying in the past quite a bit, talents, 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 talents. But Moon, he never seems to want to play them, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of the time he just tries and rely more on the standard keeper. Like, he's really specialized in that style. I feel like he executes it better than most players. Like, only Lowlight for some time was maybe looking a little bit more convincing, especially with the decision to bring in Wisps, which I feel like Moon in this series has been doing pretty well. If you were to look at Moon's mistakes here in that last game, it kind of feels hard to find exactly what it is. Maybe because I play neither Night Elf or Orc, but feels like he was doing decent enough, but maybe just sitting under the fountain and fighting there. Even though he had the fountain working for him, it was helping the Orc more. So maybe if he moved out and fought outside of there, but he was waiting for the Alchemist to come back in the fight, and he didn't have the gold yet to buy all the scrolls and the staff to actually get back in there quickly enough.
Yeah, there's a few things you could have done differently. Maybe try to take it slower, don't push so much, try to take a third base away from Fountains. Try to go tier 3 would have also been an option. You could also make the argument that the early game was somewhat squandered. Moon tried with a push with the AP, that didn't work, fell back to try with the expansion, that got cancelled. When he could have been safely creeping tier 3, he didn't do that. He was really slowed down. He didn't creep with his units, he was camping and babysitting the Expo on the second attempt, so not the perfect early game by Moon by any means. Echo Isles look quite a bit better there, but now, you know, those two maps are in the books, put them behind you, we're moving forward. We're moving to Last Refuge, where that is one of those maps also, which can be tough for Night of, especially early game. We keep on talking about it all the time. Keeper levels, so absolutely crucial. And on Last Refuge, the Keeper oftentimes has the hardest of times reaching those level ups.
Yeah, Fly looked very convincing last game. It was very, very solid. You know, it's not like he just got like really good items and then somehow everything fell his way. He was checking for that Ancient Protector, even though we didn't see Moon even attempt it previously when he played against Lin. Remember that? So he was on top of his game. It's kind of the Fly that I was hoping to see, you know, really strong, even though in game 1 there was quite a few mishaps. Maybe a slight disconnect. But now he's back in it. Like you said, it's a best of 3. We're on Last Refuge, and I still expect to see more of the same from both players.
And I think you're right. Blade Master and Keeper again. The experimental creep route earlier that we saw at the Merc, not done again. Moon this time going with the standard, which, I don't know, might just be better. A few different options that the Orc can go for. You can go hyper aggressive and move across the map and just follow the Keeper around for the first 4 minutes, trying to disallow any kind of creeping, or you can kind of play the mind game, go for the circlet in the middle and try to creep the green camps, the high priests, in anticipation that the Keeper is going to be looking for you and that way isn't going to be creeping anyways. He's going for the dust and the circlet here early. The great thing about Last Refuge and this build is you don't have to go for a shop early as Orc, because you don't really creep at the beginning, at least not painful camps, so you can tech very quickly, as we see now the Stronghold already starting.
Let's see, the dance with the Blade Master and the Keeper has already started. There is a dust on that Blade Master, so if an archer was to step out of position just for 1 second, he would get punished very quickly. And Fly, you're obviously hoping you can pick up some items here and there here already, but Moon right on top of that Blade Master sees the movement. Fly still trying to go for the item. Can he get it? Yeah, he gets the experience and the item Wall of Illusion. We've seen in lane against Moon how good this item can be. Moon probably sees this, he's like, all right, well, I'm not making a tree near the Merc camp this time. Even far away from the Merc camp, I won't make it. I'll make that tree in that main base of mine if I want to make it at all.
Yeah, Wand of Illusion, I'm pretty sure, is the best item drop you can get there. Not just in this matchup, also can be very effective in other matchups. And Fly, a master of the Orcish race, can do many things with that. Scouting, of course, the most apparent, but you can also do things like pull the Merc camp on your side, go for a greedy creep of that Merc camp, and yeah, keep tabs everywhere. Blade Master looking way in the corner there for a sneaky expo during nighttime, but it's not coming up there, and that gives the Keeper a bit of space to perhaps start creeping. But as he went for Entangle first, it's really hard, honestly, to be able to creep anything.
Yeah. Feels like he needs level 2, but you can't get that very easily in the early game, because usually you open one archer and then you go straight into Huntresses, which is what he's doing here. It's very nice that Fly picks up a staff early on, that makes him extra safe. We saw actually last game how quickly he was able to come back as well against the Ancient Protector. That was near the main base, not so much the one at the Expo, you know, he kind of underestimated that one with just the Wind Rider being sent there. But that wasn't the biggest of deals. As long as the Expo survived, he was always going to be fine there.
And Fly again, checking everywhere where the opponent is. He was scouting with the Grunts at one green camp, the Blade Master at another, the Illusion at another. That is the wonderful thing, when you get Illusions, you can scout everywhere. But now Moon, forcing all of this attention in the north, he can finally go for his expansion in the corner, where Fly looked earlier. This is also kind of cool, right? Moon knows Fly looked there before, it wasn't there, so now he's going to pop it down in exactly that spot, thinking, well, maybe he's not going to look there again.
Yeah, lots of mind games going on between the two for sure. It feels unlikely that Fly would double check down there, but I see those Grunts headed down that path. He's checking everywhere else with the Illusion. Blade Master will wake up the Crypts as the Keeper just walks out of there. And Fly, again, he's delaying his second hero a little bit. He's always prioritizing lodge, and in this case, an additional burrow. Like last game, we saw that, first game, we saw that he was buying mercenaries on Echo Isle, but this time, still wanted to start the stings a little bit earlier.
One grunt here seems to be going down. Oh, maybe not though. Only level 1 entangle, doesn't last that long. And Fly is doing it well. He chases the keeper around, so that one cannot put in the damage. Alchemist out already. Shadow Hunter to follow. Pretty even game so far, I guess. Although the keeper's experience looks a little worrying.
Yeah, it's always bad when you're stuck on level 1 for this long. Maybe encourages him to play a little bit more aggressive in a second to try and land some entangles before there is like really enough shamans to negate that. He was doing that a second ago, but the defense was there from Fly in position with triple grunts. Eventually the Blade Master, and now that the Shadow Hunter is going to come out, it's also going to be easier for him to try and deal with this.
Blade Master
is better for now.
I'm not sure. I think I like it for Fly if he gets level 3 Shadow and the counter expo, but that's a big if. Importantly, for Fly, also you scout the main. Nowadays, you definitely have to do it. You have to be aware whether there might be coming a lore transition for Dryads and Mountain Giants. And that's what the Blade Master is doing. Playing a very sacrificial role, just running all over the map, scouting, getting intel, not interested in picking himself up so immensely as we saw before. So, very interesting change of early game styles by Fly from game 1 and 2 to 3, which also makes sense on this map where you can control the keeper so well.
This is usually very fine to have a Blade level 1 and Shadow 3 there. It's really funny, by the way, that Archer was at the top the entire time, just Shadow melded. Basically saying, I don't want to move that on the map because Blade will kill it. And in the one moment that Archer was like, alright, daylight's coming, I need to move back, the Blade got on top of it and chased it all the way down to the lab where Moon scouts that Fly is currently creeping this.
Yeah, so at least she gets some information, you know, her death was not entirely in vain, and Moon knows he's safe to creep his own expo, which of course on LR he's safe to anyways. It's a very easy expansion. He gets a ring. Pretty nice for the Alchemist, and the Keeper getting some valuable XP after clearing the Merc Camp. If you have the expansion, especially as Night Elf on this map, having cleared the Merc Camp, having those reinforcements can also be very helpful. The Blade Master, again, playing the sacrificial role. He's trying to cancel the Entangle, the Entangled Goldmine, I mean, trying to force attention out of Moon and give more space for more creeping for the Shadow.
A player's forces are under attack.
Yeah, not the best item, I think, this Quel'Thalas. Don't exactly have any agility hero here if you're Moon, so usually gonna be a sell a lot of the time, but it's always about like when do you want to pay a visit to the shop to actually sell that. Sometimes you feel like you don't even need the golds, but usually it's better to sell that pre-50 before you break upkeep to get that extra gold boost so that you can go straight to 60, 65 and then 70 supply, which really gives you a big advantage if you can do quickly.
Fly, by the way, with creeping pretty far in the middle of the map, not creeping the natural, not creeping the Merc, not getting bigger items and more experience and a possible counter expansion. Is he just gonna go all in push with his level 3 Shadow and maybe, I don't know, towers or something? No, he's just taking his time.
Yeah, I think
he's gonna go counter expand later, I suppose.
Yeah, what we've seen a lot from Orcs is that they delay the expo usually until they have like, you know, around 45-ish supply. You don't want to just do it when you have like, I don't know, 32 supply, because then it feels you don't have enough. If you get attacked, that's going to be an easy cancel. Now is like the moment where he's starting to feel a lot more confident if he were to take a fight with that Serpent Wards level 2. So now is when he's going to start it, because shortly after he'll get 50 supply and stay there for a while as well.
Again, excellent Wisp Scout by Moon, sees what's going on, saw the creep route, saw the first tower coming. Tower before expansion, so another little delay by Fly. I don't even know if it has the resources for the Great Hall right now. Perhaps now an ambush. Weird position for the Night Elf. The Archers are already far away, and that's easy Hunter's kills. He purges the one in front and the second one. That should be 2 hunts going down. Oh, look at that Serpent Ward trap. Wonderfully done. This is going to cost a couple of purges. Quite a bit of mana out of the Shaman, but well worth it, I suppose. The Archers canceled the building in the north, but there was only a tower. Not an expansion, not that expensive. And with those 2 kills, Fly's like, alright bro, let's take this fight in the main.
He's going to force a Town Pole out of Moon here. Heroes 3-3 against 2-3. Wisps already coming off the line here. Moon, he's got a lot of lumber. If he can get some big detonations, that keeper is gonna dominate with Entangle and Trance against the lack of Purge, which is why Fly just kind of disengages for a second. He restarts the expansion in the meantime. You really want to have one tower. It feels like it helps out so much against any kind of harassment. If you don't get it there, then Trance could be quite deadly. Wisps coming in and connecting with a lot of the Shamans in the Shadow Hunter. They're actually kind of going past right now. Serpent Ward's being active, Trance coming in. The Grumpy Lightning Shield is doing friendly fire right now. Fly needs to be careful.
Archers in the back, well protected. Blade Master perhaps not so much. Heat Wave coming through, but still very hurt. Keeper, by the way, he used the TP before, has to go for the big healing potion. Fortunate find there from earlier. Keeper survives, and Fly's gonna have to fall back. The Serpent Ward's covering his retreat, but the Archers will be able to take that out before too long. Fly still with lots of gold, by the way. He didn't lose too much. Did you see how many units he actually had falling there?
Maybe 0 actually. Just 46. I think max he lost 1 unit, but it seems like he still has a lot of grunts. Moon starts +2 attack here for his units, and he moves back in a position here to try and siege that expansion. I think he realizes that this is a timing where he has a very decent supply lead, but there's now going to be a tower, and there's already reinforced defenses here for Fly. So I don't think this is anymore.
Oh yeah, this is a very interesting moment in this game, crucial moment in this game. He tried to staff back to the main on the Shadow, but then canceled the staff, thinking he has to be here right now for some Serpent Wards. Archers into the back. This is behind enemy lines. Archers...
Cancel! He's trying to cancel the expansion. He's gonna Shadow Mail the Archers, get on top of the expansion with the Hunts. He's gonna target it with everything. Grunt staying on top of where the Archers are, as to not let them attack. I think Moon's gonna get it. And he can Town Portal out of there if he feels he needs to. Shadow Mails the units! He got the expansion!
Wow. Oh, 3 Archers though? Those seem like easy kills. Shadow Meld once again. Okay, 2 get taken out. Fly still with lots of gold though. He sets up the expansion, still 500 Gs. He could maybe go up to 60 himself.
Yeah, but what a move by Moon here. Like, this means that he's gonna have expansion running for all this time. It might be time to creep. Just go for the lab. Get extra gold, get extra items. Just go to 70 or 80 supply quicker than the opponent. Have more scrolls than him. Have him slightly up-leveled ideally. And then just go and finish the game when this expansion starts mining. Because again, the Orc expansion is one that takes a very long time to go up. And not only would have to go up, then he'd have to start mining from it with some peons being in position there. So Moon knows that took a serious option on perhaps getting the victory here in that map number 3 with that big expansion snipe.
I'm very curious how Fly is going to spend his resources. When's he going to go into upkeep? Still sitting at only 50. A lot of gold had to be spent on items to heal up again. Salves and clarities and such. And Moon now getting a big cap. This is going to be level ups for him on the Keeper, and perhaps the big Aura or the Sentinel. Wonderfully positioned. Sees the Orc around the corner, but the big item is already gone.
Yeah, very nicely done. It gets a hood of cunning.
Archer wall!
On the floor for a bit.
There's an Invis Archer wall! He can't get in!
Wow, and there's no actual detection. He could send a peon to the lab, but that would take a while, as they are not exactly the fastest worker. That's the Acolyte by far, aka the Lamborghini. But what a sick wall by Moon here. He's completely zoned out this army. There's no lightning shields being used either. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Fly, I don't see him sending anything to the lab. Okay, now finally I see a blue dot on the minimap. He wants to try and engage into this army. Might force a Town Portal out in a second. Healing Spray landing on a lot of these units. He's about to use Revelation.
There it is. Archers moving right away. Moon with lightning quick reflexes. How many Archers are gonna die? The Scroll of Protection is active. It seems like Moon is gonna have to evacuate sooner or later. Heal Scroll though, before he has to. Blade Master again in trouble, but Blade Master still does survive. Doesn't have an Invul Potion. Again, we have the Shadow Meld. He needs another reveal from the lab. The Blade Master, what about him? He's getting entangled. Heal Scroll, where's the Purge? No Purge! Blade Master might be dying again. Speed Scroll, Heal Wave. Oh my god, last second save again by Fly. Is this enough now to force the TP away? Invul Potion on the Alchemist. He's staying alive for a little bit longer. Everything is about to drop over here. Now Moon, 2 TP's out, losing perhaps one more Archer. No, it actually saves pretty much everything. Moon still at 62 supply. Fly lost quite a bit there, down to 44, but the expansion is now finished for the Orc.
What a crazy game and fight here. He didn't have detection, he didn't have dust, but he sent the peon to the lab for the Revelation. Now Bestiary is up at the expansion for Fly. And what does he do from there? Like, does he want to siege the main base? Feels like some clarity is necessary. He uses that on the Shadowhunter. Gets one more Archer. Remember that in Orc against Night Elf, if Orc can get heroes 5 and 5, this is one of the biggest power spikes in the game. And it feels like Fly, with the way he's been dealing with this army, I mean, I look at that Shadow Hunter, I'm like, that guy is almost certainly going to get level 5 in the next fight.
And Moon behind this, he's not really transitioning. He's not going to a third base. He's not going to tier 3. He could have easily afforded one of the two, but he's staying on tier 2 and he's massing. He doesn't want to attack into the expansion. There's towers there, burrows, very well defended. He wants to attack the main. With a big Hunter's army, he has the bouncing glaives and good upgrades, of course, as well. 2-2 on these Huntresses already, where we only have 0-2 on the Grunts so far. Full-blown attack by Moon into the main. With Moon, there can always also be a double-pronged attack towards the expansion, but no, it's all into the main. And the Wisps are coming in. The detonates hitting really well. The Shaman mana extremely low now. Blade Master in the front line, almost going down. Nothing to save him. No, there is the Invul Potion. Barely survives. But man, that is such a big Night Elf army. I don't know if Fly can hold this. We'll see. Blade Master out of the Invul Potion, and yeah, as you're saying, Wisp dying again, detonating again, draining the mana. The Blade Master barely survives, 25 HP. How close has this been? So many times. Mana Potion on the Shadow.
Ooh, the Blade Master almost fell just to the Acid Bomb taking down on him, but with all of the mana gone on the Shamans, those Wisps came in super handy here by Moon. He had so many of them. I think there was at least 6 of them connecting on the Shamans, on the Shadow Hunter. Clarity being used immediately here by Fly. Moon on 60 supply, and Fly having a shop in his main base. He can use a Mana Potion. He's pushed him back somehow. I thought that was it. That Blade almost fell, always living on the edge as usual, but he did survive the fight.
Hell of a series between these two. Dude, Fly, the madman. He just canceled the Shaman to go back to no upkeep. What are the cojones on this kid? Must be clanging wherever he walks. He is not afraid, at least not at the moment. He's looking for more kills, takes out some Wisps. Shaman in very deep over there, as it seems. 10 supply lead still for Moon, which is sort of normal. Blade Master at the shop. He really needed those invuls before. He got a heal scroll this time. He would love to have level 4 for his mirror image, but he's not quite there yet. However, Fly, very close now to 2 level ups.
Another player working with a lot of mana here, but Fly being so close to home and having shopped recently at his shop, he has a Mana Potion. He's got the Robe of Magi that he can drop and replenish a lot of the mana. He needs to start using some of these healings here. The Blade Master already going low. You don't want to lose that. Shamans, they've also replenished a little bit of mana for some purges. He's disengaging a little bit. Shadow Hunter right around the corner to level 5 here. A big, big level with Serpent Wars level 3 almost available. Archers still doing work against this army. Fly needs to disengage. Uses the Mana Potion after dropping the Robe of Magi, and Moon is on the hunt. He feels like he's doing a lot of damage, but he can't really attack into this shop. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's a lot about the mana here, and that is the home base advantage. Fly here can get mana much more easily than Moon can. Moon would be able to do the same in his main base, but Moon, again, on the trigger. But now he's finally transitioning. We see the tech to tier 3 having started, in fact, close to finished, and there we're gonna have big upgrades. We're gonna have marksmanship, orb of venom, perhaps more upgrades for the hunts and archers, most likely, in fact, and maybe a Podem third, although for some reason Moon hasn't been playing Podem third in this whole tournament.
Yeah, maybe if you already have like very high levels, but I think the priority maybe before that would be to try and get 5 and 5 himself, which Fly is probably closer to. The Keeper was taking a lot of damage. He's just gonna temple out. Great read. He knew that the Orc was gonna be on his trail. And he picked up the War Drums. Oh my god. That's gonna be such a huge item here, boosting the damage of his entire army, which is already a big DPS army.
The
Is that a dream item?
Probably. The Shadow Hunter there wasn't part of the creeping gang. He didn't get level 5. Blade got level 4, yeah, but well beyond level 4. Weird choice by Fly, who is the first time in a long while aggressive now. Big army by Moon, though. Level 5 now for the Shadow. Thanks to the purges, he got the experience. Usually, when there's so many archers in the late game, we see a lot of heal wave, but here it is the Serpent Wards again.
Yeah, Moon used all of the Wisps, even I think some of the one that he had on gold, to detonate onto the Shamans. He basically bought an empty mana pool on the Shamans. I always knew Warcraft 3 was pay to win.
And they're not regenerating that quickly here. No master training for Fly. Fly, I feel like the only Orc who never goes tier 3 against Night Elf. We see it from Soin a good amount. We see it from Lin sometimes. But Fly never does it. He's always going full throttle with the tier 2 army. And it seems like he's going to be getting outscaled soon. Moon on tier 3 is going to be getting much, much stronger. Wellspring, amazing upgrade. Orb of Venom, amazing upgrade. Only now Nature's Blessing, by the way, surprisingly. He probably forgot about that a little bit. And also a third hero could be something, but again, we don't see a Podem. Perhaps it's going to be about the ultimates later where a Podem would be stealing XP away. But here we go, Fly now with the first full-blown attack towards Moon's main.
I think Nature's Blessing maybe wasn't needed before because a lot of the trans were getting purged anyway. It's not like they're going to be, the extra tankiness is going to help. But now I think he realizes that Fly, he's always going to have Pillage, he's always going to add Raiders later on here. And as soon as we go into those, base race scenarios or like any kind of base attack position out of the Orc, it can be super scary to not have that. There's no temporal here for Fly, and he's very deep. He has double healing scroll. He's got a lot of mana to work with. Wisp gonna try to do something about this. Moon is a little bit hesitant to take the full-on engagement right now, even though he's got a lot of army. But Fly with the supply lead.
Yeah, what happened to that supply? It was always on Moon's side before, but now the tier 3. Was it perhaps too greedy? Mains expire. The Hunter's Hall is taken out. No more hunts, but it's mainly about archers now anyways. Blade Master deep behind enemy lines. And now he has the mirror image. Look at that. He dodged the acid bomb. It was completely negated. And he got out of the entangle as well. Blade Master, though, after that still will have to go for the invul here before long. Alchemist also in trouble. He's using the heal spray. Blade Master getting healed up as well. He's holding on to the invul potion actually even longer. Blade Master now going for the Alch. That is the invul potion for the second hero and for the Blade Master first hero. Fly won't lose him here. Moon retreating towards his expansion. There's Moonwells there, but he's kind of getting blocked by his own buildings. Fly is moving forward like an absolute destruction force. Seems like he's just steamrolling now, perhaps. Blade Master, though, still has to be careful about that one. He's going to fall back. A lot of damage taken on Fly's army. But, dude, he hardly actually lost anything.
Yeah, the Shadowhunter kept so much alive here. This army was so tanky as well with the upgrades. So even though Moon's got a ton of DPS, it seems like the Shadowhunter is incredibly good at keeping everything alive, even though he didn't even go heal wave level 3. Moon adding a priestess, but he's back to no upkeep. Cup half full, I guess. He has to see some bright side of it here if he can, but Fly now with that supply lead, with those upgrades, you can just expect him to replenish mana, buy a bunch of scrolls, and then re-engage to seal the deal in that map number 3.
Man, what a game by Fly. He's definitely looking large and in charge now when Moon had a 15-20 supply lead earlier, unable to close out the game. Great survival skills by Fly. He is showing why he is considered the best Orc versus Night Elf player in the world. Moon now in deep trouble. Did he make a mistake, Moon? Did he overextend? Did he perhaps transition too late? You know, it's easy to say, well, why don't you go tier 3 faster, then you're going to be stronger. But we saw right here, if he goes tier 3, he sort of gives a window of weakness to the opponent. And Fly, he always finds that window of weakness and always punishes it. And now with the Orc up by 23 supply, this is looking desperate. I mean, Moon has the tier 3, yes, and perhaps double orb soon, but I don't know if that's going to be enough.
Yeah, once Orc has 5-5, like I said, this becomes a brand new game, a very different game. Is that tree headed to the left-hand side? By the way, are they both competing for the same expansion there? Shaman's looking for the purges there. That's going to be some free experience. Shadowhunter already 5.5, by the way. And Moon, I think he has to understand the urgency of this game here. Double healing scroll. I think he's going to try to take one perfect fight here, ideally for him, and then try and win the game. That tree is going to reinforce, but I mean, if it's uprooted, it's probably not going to do too much either.
It could be a sick position for Moon. Here, this is the narrowest choke on Last Refuge. Everything's sort of narrow on Last Refuge, but here, at the edge towards the ocean, this is where it's the closest. And with a tree in front, perfect fighting position. But of course, the Blade Master with Windwalk can always pierce into the back line without being hindered. He's also full mana Blade, by the way, so many mirror images. All right, here we go. This is probably the fight to decide the game. It's looking really good for Fly. Beautiful setup as well. Look at that massive concave of this huge Orc army. 80 supply, tier 2 Orc mass. And he's supported also with the heal scrolls. Blade Master not even having the need to go into the backline. We're going for the Tree of Eternity first and foremost. That one is not getting repaired. That one will be taken out before too long. Serpent was in the back, dealing with the Huntresses as well. Archers for the time being not touched, but once the front line is gone, they will be. Alchemist is part of the front line, is dropping really low, and the level 1 Podem dies so fast. 228 crit, no chance anymore. Moon will drop the the third map. This is map number 2 now for Fly. That's his match point, and boy, did he have to work hard for that one. Holy crap, that was one hell of a game. I'm loving this series already, Todd. Fly now with a match point. To make this a perfect series, Moon needs to come back, and we need to go to Twisted Meadows. But this is exactly what I was hoping for these playoff matches.
Yeah, that critical strike level 3 definitely came in handy at the end. 228, definitely very helpful. I wonder if it was a mistake in retrospect to go for tier 3, like you said. Maybe Moon is just supposed to go to 80 supply, buy as many scrolls as he can, and then just try to take favorable fights. It feels like he was very close to breaking Fly at some point when they were fighting near the main base. It was just Fly was very good at unit retention, pulling back, using clarities, using mana potions, and just saving everything that he had. And there hasn't really been any sloppy Blade Master losses, to be fair, this entire match, except for game number 1. So the last 2 maps, very solid, very precise by Fly, and he's looking incredible, like you said, in this matchup, as we would expect from him. Moon is now the one to try and, I guess, do better than this, because I expect more of the same style, and the execution just hasn't been enough for him to win.
Map number 4, let me look that up. It's going to be Northern Isles, which can oftentimes be considered a pretty good Night Elf map. If you have space in the early, very often you will get level 3 reliably, and then you can maybe take control of the middle, get big experience and items there, get the expansion coming up behind. Yeah, Fly, love seeing us play against Night Elf. Last year, it was him showing really how to best survive, get the counter expansion up, and not die to the tier 2 Night Elf. And then beyond that, towards the later stage of 2020, it seemed like Night Elf with their map control would oftentimes go tier 3 and then get all the upgrades. You know, marksmanship, third attack upgrade, Podem, double orb, maybe even triple orb, although usually double orb. Now, I think the latest evolution of Fly's game is finding the weakness in the tier 3 push of the Night Elf and then punishing it and looking to do devastating damage or outright lethal damage towards the Night Elf when they are trying to reach tier 3. So now the Night Elves don't have this tier 3 win condition anymore. So I also thought ahead of this tournament that the tier 3 Night Elf usually seals the deal, but Fly shows that no, it's not that simple. It's not so easy. If you're gonna go tier 3, I'm gonna punish you, and Fly has the perfect game sense to always know when he needs to strike.
I feel like if Moon would be doing a little bit better in those games and somehow get, like, let's say when you have like 60, 70 supply, you get a protection scroll. We haven't really been seeing those as much. There's no Spirit Walkers, so there would be no way to actually like dispel all of it, or purge rather. So that could be one of the things that, he would have with him. I wonder, like, why do Night Elves not really rally point their trees and make new wisps? Like when you're fighting very consistently, that would be like super handy. And he hasn't really been playing with staffs that much, with like double staff as well to replenish. It's just like the games defensively have been good enough by Fly to really, at least that last one, to really stay in there and somehow recover, largely due to his shop control. And I mean, he's the shop in his own main base.
Yeah. Wonderful series here so far between the two. It's been an exciting back and forth, not just in maps, but also, or in score, but also on the maps. In terms of gameplay. Now we move to the frosty lands of Northern Isles. Perhaps a moment for us to cool down a little bit and for the players to refocus, regather their composure, and especially for Moon now to bring it back. As now mentioned multiple times, Twisted Meadows would be the last map and would be a fitting epic end to this series. What do you think? We're going to go to 5 maps, or are the predictions right from our colleagues? Is this going to be a 3-1 for Fly?
I'm hoping we go to map 5. Yeah, I think it's very possible. Moon understands the urgency now, and he's always looking to try and do slightly better than he did last time. So yeah, Wisp control, a little bit more on points. I think that fight that he took on the left-hand side on the big red camp as well might have been overextending a little bit, because he didn't feel like he was doing that well in that one. He had just picked up an item. So maybe town portaling a little bit earlier. Like the initial archer wall was cool, but eventually once the orc starts using Revelation, he was always going to be in trouble with the archers falling very quickly. So we got a Keeper yet again against the Blade Master, and more of the same. Or are we finally going to see some Lores and a Huntress Orb?
We have been seeing that quite a bit on this map. For what specific reasons, I cannot really tell you, but it seems to be on Northern Isles where we see quite a bit of Lores and MGs. Another late-game strategic option that was part of the meta for Night Elves in the past, but we've been seeing hardly at all in this tournament, is a third base. A third base over tier 3. Night Elf will usually always claim map control. We see this time and time again. We saw it on Echo, we saw it on Concealed, we saw it on Last Refuge. You get up to 71st, you have full map control. But Moon is not trying to use that to expand with. He could be doing that, especially in Concealed, might have been smart. But no, he's either just pushing off of 2 bases or he's going to tier 3. Is that maybe an option he's not considering enough?
Maybe it could be, I mean, he might be considering it for the map. Maybe it's just map dependence, the way things goes, as often as with Warcraft 3. But yeah, Wand of Illusion was picked up. The harass will begin. Moon has done a very good job at keeping his archer alive here. Usually you always open with an archer to make sure you can creep that first camp safely, but then you go into Huntresses after that. We saw that archer kind of became a sentry word actually for most of the entire start of last game, just standing across the Mer camp and getting a lot of information.
Absolutely. Fly again with his same opening, by the way. He goes for the Murloc Flesh Eater at the bigger of the 2 green camps in the middle and goes for the consumable. Again, he gets the Wand of Illusion. Wand of Illusion and Sentry Ward, the prime items you want to find early as Orc to have more scouting. And he's going to get the Staff of Teleportation as well. At 1900 hours, precisely there, he knows how much the Night Elves love this item, and he steals it away. The Peon Scout, I don't think saw the expansion. I'm not sure if he saw it with the Blade Master either. It's nighttime.
That has been so on point with the scouting, I gotta say, this entire series so far. Always seeing exactly what he needs to see, and I feel like when you watch these games, it doesn't do justice to how hard it is to be on top of everything. Like, as somebody who's played against both of these guys recently, I can tell you when you play against them, you feel the pressure. All the time, at every stage in the game. In the start, killing any unit is harder than when you play against anybody else. But Fly is on point with everything. He scouts everything there is to see, spotted the Protector on Conceal Hill, keeps on finding those trees every time that they're going up, and he's always in position to be able to do something about it. And he's pulling the creeps at the expansion right now, trying to force them to attack that tree, and they're gonna oblige.
Oh, Moon cannot allow the steal right here. Entangle on the right target. Can he pull back the creep camp again with the Wand of Illusion? Man, the Wand of Illusion, the new bane of Moon. This might be enough for the cancel. This might be enough damage. The Blade Master, though, he doesn't want to risk his first hero dying. Oh, or does he, though? There's a sentry placed. Moon sees him. Moon sees him. This Blade Master must be dead now. Entangle, right clicks, Blade Master will fall.
Wait, oh no, I thought the creeps might have denied him, but no, Moon almost leveled 3. And with that tree surviving, he's gonna be so far ahead. We could be getting a map number 5 here. Did you say it was, what map did you say it was?
Good old Twisted Meadows, aka Casino Warcraft, hell yeah. Yeah, Moon needed to make sure this expansion didn't get killed because his tech was severely delayed. We can see Tree of Ages only now 50% done, where the Oryx tier 2 already finished. Where's the Shadowhunter, by the way? Oh, he's stuck behind the Blade Master. Oh boy. That is a massive delay.
Yeah, I mean, he usually delays it, always for the Lodge, but in this case, he even added the war... What do you think the War Mill's for?
Just upgrades, sort of quickly. You also get the 4 grunts? No, wait, it's 3 grunts. Yeah.
Usually the War Mill was way more delayed. Is he gonna Tower Rush? Is he gonna start mixing in Headhunters, or is it just for the upgrades that he usually gets? Because it does feel like it's earlier here.
I think he just had gold spare. You know, he had to revive the Blade Master first. That's only 170. If you don't have to go for the 425 of the Shadow right away, you have some gold left over. I would imagine that's where it went. But oh boy, Fly with a rough game. And you know, at least in 2 of these games, we're going to have early Blade Master losses. We had it on Echo, where Fly lost the game. We have it on Northern Isles, where Fly has not lost yet, but boy is it looking rough. The Keeper's level 3, the Expo's coming up, the tier 2 for the Night about to finish, Blade Master and Shadowhunter basically not leveled at all. This is reminding me of good old 1.30 days and the Desperate Orc days.
Well, hopefully not for too long, because that was not the best times for those games here in this matchup. I wonder if I guess the Keeper will most likely transfer, the Mana Pendant to the second hero eventually. Moon has been so consistent with always getting Sentinel as well and using that really well, but Wait, is Fly not realizing this is happening right now? He's just kind of ignoring this creep jack, which... What an unlikely creep jack. This is, he's trying to steal the Ogre. Moon, can he get the experience?
Oh, he got it as well. With the Keeper, the last hit goes towards him. And the Grunt goes down as well. Ooh, boy. This Keeper is basically level 4 before the Shadow gets level 2. That's what we call a rough game. Moon now in complete control of Northern Isles. Fly with a few mistakes, overextending towards the enemy expansion. Like, if you're committing to this Expo kill that hard, you have to bring the Grunts, right? So, I think, yeah, not the cleanest of early games by Fly at all.
Yeah, maybe he thought that with the illusion it was going to be enough, and to be fair, it felt like it almost was going to be for some time. Maybe he didn't pay attention to the items either, like against Sentry Ward, obviously you can get detected while you wind walked, and yeah, as soon as he lost the Blade Master here, it was a disaster. That Blade Master had 0 XP when it died. This is not the way you ever want to open a game. Like, that gave Keeper like 2.9, and then after that, Moon's been in control the whole time, and now he's doing the best thing you can do when you're ahead on this map. He's securing the center camps, because he knows it's going to be super hard for Fly to do anything about it with how behind he is. Gets Devotion Aura here, so extra armor for his units.
Yeah, that is Devotion again. He found it 3 times before against Soin. Now he does it again here in this series for the first time now against Fly. Very good item for the mass style of Keeper Hunt's Archer. I didn't see what he got at the marketplace, but he sold it right away, so it must have not been too good.
Yeah, let's see. Skull the Beast is not supposed to be good as long as there are Wisp there. So sometimes you can keep it. Oh, terrible items. Gets a Crystal Ball.
Also, Scroll the Beast doesn't affect Serpent Wards, which is kind of the majority of the damage output, around 50 supply. Yeah, Fly is not having a good time here on Northern. He's sort of misplaying, and RNG is also not in his favor. But it's not over yet. If he is able to counter-expand here, get up a big army, and the high hero levels, as you mentioned before, with double level 5, a lot of things are possible. But Moon is looking poised already to come in with a dangerous attack. With this super early Expo, he's been so rich. He's got 63 supply already. He's got 2-1 upgrades already, which is super quick. Only thing missing now is a heal scroll or 2, maybe a protection, and then Moon is primed and ready.
And Fly gets a ring. Finding like all the items that you wish you wouldn't find there. I mean, yes, he can give a little bit of extra armor to the Blade Master, but it's still, compared to many items that you could find there, it's not nearly as good. And yeah, Moon this time around, already 69 supply against 41. It just feels like he's going to be able to, I think, just attack move straight up. It's his way to victory in this one. He's just so far ahead by this point. He doesn't even need Alchemist level 3.
The Blade Master loss, the quick expansion, the grunt kills in the south. This is a pretty easy, just, you know, mathematical equation. This is just A is way more than B, and as you put it very eloquently, A move should be enough.
A player's forces are under attack.
Fly sort of going through the motions. He's gonna fall back to the main. That expansion is definitely not gonna finish, but Fly, you know, he's gonna try. He can maybe, if he's lucky, he can maybe eke out a cheeky victory here. If Moon is overconfident, overextends into his main, maybe he's gonna lose his hero. Oh my god.
All right, Moon is moving into that expansion position here, gets the snipe on the peon, and that's level 3 Alchemist. Yeah, perfect timing here on that, before he was to fight sometime soon, but for some reason, I think maybe he's just content with the advantage he's just gained, and he's like, oh well, you don't have Expo, why would I even attack? You're just waiting at home trying to take a good fight so that maybe you could counter-attack after. He's taking to tier 3. He's taking, he's chilling a little bit. And yeah, that double ring on the Blade Master on the other side, not looking too good. I mean, it feels like you shouldn't even really sell it, like doesn't even sell for that much, or maybe he'll keep the extra armor. And I think Fly, this feels like a desperate position here for him. And he's actually, okay, he's forcing a town portal. Helm of Valor picked up for the Alchemist. And it looks like Fly is just, he's re-expanding, but at least he's thinking about it. He's getting the tower. He hasn't restarted the Expo, but I mean, this attack, it feels like it has to kill Moon or do a lot of damage. But I think the opposite might happen because Moon has already so much. Blade Master looking to try and get out of there. Serpent Ward He's going to cover his retreat for a little bit, but it's just an impossible position here for Fly. He restarts the expansion. I think he's going to try and buy some time. But I don't know if that's even possible here against the army that Moon has. Like, if Moon finally gets fed up with this, he might just attack move the main base of Fly and just eliminate him. This game, he did not actually go for Nature's Blessing just yet because he started the tier 3. Could have made that on his expo, I guess. Moon just looking to try and get a fight here in the center. He probably sees this army size, he's feeling very confident. Healing Spray level 2 is available for his units. Lightning Shield gets dispelled instantly. He has so many Wisps, oh my god. That's like 7 more Wisps. So he had 8 initially here at the start of this fight. Serpent Words putting in work. Blade Master going to be targeted in a second perhaps. Always carrying an invuln. Usually he uses that. Shadowhunter is already... he's taking a lot of damage. He's completely out of mana. Serpent Words. Really the one hope for Fly to try and do something there, but he doesn't have enough army. He's completely out of mana on everything. He just gets out of there. And he never used the Scroll of the Beast this whole time, just because there were so many Wisps. I feel like he should have just sold that a while back. He definitely needed the gold since he hasn't had an expansion up the entire game. But with reinforced defenses, if you can set up a couple towers, maybe he'll be able to turtle somehow. But, I mean, you know, I'm going to say my infamous line here. Look at the supply. It certainly is not going to lie, I feel like, in this game.
It's telling a pretty clear story. Sorry about that, I cut out a moment ago. The neighbors are having some construction, it appears. 80 supply barreling down. Potom finally. Is that the first time this whole tournament? No, never mind. We just saw Potom a moment ago. She didn't make it far. She died pretty quickly on level 1, but yeah, Moon now should be able to close this out. You know, Fly, valiant effort, tried his best. But he's been given a Goliath's task here. And this might be the end now, finally. This seems to be the formidable force that cannot be stopped. Oh, look at that! The Invis Wall again. This is quickly turning into Moon's favorite move.
There's a lab right there. You just need to send like maybe one of the shamans. Yeah, the Potom certainly hasn't been the MVP so far in this series. It's been more like, you know, that one guy who's like, put me in coach, gets put in and then does absolutely nothing. As he got obliterated. Revelation being used here. He's gonna force those units back. Moon, for some reason, I mean, he could have just fought the army and won, but he's like, no. I forbid you from expanding, Fly. Don't you ever try and expand against me.
The level 1 Potom does it again. See you later.
The town is under siege.
But she's not going to be needed, really, to close out this map 4. We're just going to bring us to the decider. All right, but you know what? He's not tapping out yet. Moon, sort of known for deteriorating in shape the longer the day goes. Fly, perhaps having, you know, the psychological warfare here online and trying to force Moon into fatigue. Do you think that can be a factor for some players?
Oh yeah, for sure. But I wouldn't necessarily think of Moon as one of those guys. You know, that like really falls off later in the day. I mean, he's one of the most titled players in the game, so it means he's won those championships, you know, when it mattered. I always thought of myself as one of the guys that fell off later in the tournaments. If I look at my achievements, I have like a lot of like, you know, top 4, top 8s and stuff, and I felt like deep in the tournaments. I wasn't maybe playing my best. There were some players that were very good. You could put them in any condition, and I always thought of Moon as kind of one of them, but I guess he's getting a little bit older now. He's a family man, so he cannot really stay up that late either. I'm guessing he has like more of a normal schedule.
Yeah, definitely. But still in his advanced age, an absolute baller. One of the best players in the world, our DreamHack Anaheim champion, of course. He is against the ropes. Fly had the match point here, but, well, I think we all see where this is going. The main is disappearing, the counter expansion in the north, don't know if that's going to work out. We still have a 30 supply lead over here. Blade Master does have the level 2 crit, but we have some staffs, we have some invuln pots, and we have a whole bunch of archers. We also have wisps. Ooh, that's a juicy detonate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bye-bye to all your mana.
Plus 3 attack about to finish here for Moon. Advanced Strength of the Moon, it's called. Apparently perfectly suitable as he gets the equalizer here. And we're going to be headed to Twisted Meadows here to finish things on a map that Moon lost to Soin earlier on, actually.
Absolutely. When it looked so good for Moon earlier on TM, he sort of gave it away, sort of threw it away. I'm not sure. He had the Expo up pretty early, but then someone came in with a very powerful attack, also aided by the Scourge Bone Chimes, which certainly helped there. But normally Twisted Meadows, that's Moon's hometown. If you're in a best of 3 against Moon, you will usually always veto TM, but AZ is the worst map for Orc, so that has to be taken out first. And Carson touched on that earlier. Here in this best of 5 format now, it may be favoring the Night Elf because Orc has 2 maps which can potentially be very bad for them with AZ and Twisted. And of course, with a blunder earlier by Fly on Echo Isles, which is supposed to be the Orc map, it seems like Fly is a little bit on the back foot now, but that doesn't mean Moon is unbeatable on TM.
Who do you think would have a better chance against 120 in the semifinals out of those two? Because we saw 120 beat Fly with ease earlier.
Oh yeah, Moon, definitely. I think nobody's ready for 120's matchup against Orc at the moment in the whole world. I think people have to catch up to that first. But Moon has historically had a pretty good record against 120, maybe like 60% or so win rate, maybe even higher. So I think honestly, if I want to be bold, I would say I think Moon is the only real threat to 120 in this tournament.
Ooh, all right. Of respect for the legends. Let's see if he can overcome a very strong Fly here. Definitely had a little bit of a rough game here in that one. You know, the 2 games that Fly won, they were like well contested, but the 2 that he lost kind of got obliterated, it feels like, or he just like fell really far behind. I mean, that Echo Isle kind of almost doesn't count because of the weird shenanigans that were happening. But in that last one, like I said, you lose a hero level 1 with 0 experience on it against the opponent that was already level 2. That's always going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be sort of daunting if you look at it that way. The ones you won were hard fought, but the ones you lost were stomps. But you could also put a more positive spin on it, which is, well, Fly, the ones he lost, he clearly made somewhat stupid mistakes that he shouldn't make, and he can easily rid himself of those. But when both are playing straight up good and in a long macro game where both perform well, then it goes to Fly. So perhaps that is how he can eke it out in the late game if he doesn't make mistakes. Will he do so now? Will the Blade Master fall again? Will Fly's curse strike him here before his moving into the semi-final? Is Moon gonna be victorious on Moon Meadows once again? Lots of questions to be answered as we move into our 5th and deciding final map.
Do we perhaps see something different out of Moon as well? It seems like he's really set on playing with that one style he's been doing, the Keeper. Mass units out of the Ancient of War. And yeah, starting in the bottom right-hand side here, it looks like Fly is setting up to do a laboratory golem creep here to try and collect a big item early on. On the other side, we're going to have the Keeper yet again for Moon. We set up the Ancient of War next to the orange camp towards the center. So very standard. Curious to see whether he would try and creep the mercenary camp after that, because you're supposed to go Huntress all and produce Huntresses shortly after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Moon would have certainly preferred a spawn next to the Merc. Against Soin earlier, we saw he crept the Merc camp very quickly. He got the Shadow Priest right away. He got the level 2. He got 2 items. From this camp, you don't get level 2 right away. It's a little bit easier to creep, perhaps, but you don't get level 2 right away, and you don't get Mercs. So without Mercenaries, without level 2, can you still go for that greedy 1 Archer expansion? Maybe not. Maybe Moon is going to have to take it a little bit slower here now in this game. But we'll see. This first item drop is going to be a big deal. And Fly, by the way, finds the opponent's main base right away, which means he can now mentally prepare his scouting patterns to be looking for that expansion soon.
Oh, last game was really difficult for Fly, not just because he lost the Blade Master, but he was also finding a lot of really bad items. Scroll of the Beast, again, like he literally in that first big attack, he didn't even use it because he saw that there were so many wisps in position. So he's probably hopeful that he'll find something better this time around, but he misses the pull on the Rock Golem. A disastrous start here for the Chinese Orc.
And I believe the bottom right is the hardest position to do this pull in. I don't think that was really a big mistake there. Sometimes the creep walking AI is just a little weird. And that is very unfortunate. Can he trap him the second time around? Oh, thank goodness. If it failed a second time, this would have been so sad. Keeper is coming in. He's got level 2. He crept the green. He can open up the trees here exactly with the treants. Big Lasset. Who's gonna get it? Blade Master gets the experience and the item, the flute, which is, well, not the big item he was hoping for.
Yeah, because you go mostly grunts and like shamans are not really there for the damage. Eventually when they get there, they're more there to purge. They don't exactly do a lot of damage. And the type of damage that they do is not exactly the best either against the army that the Night Elf goes for. So I wonder, like, what would be the best item? Quel'Thalas, you think, early on, or something else?
It's definitely between Quel'Thalas and Scourge Bone Chimes. Argument there to be made for both. Late game, Sobi Mask also really good. But in the late game, of course, Scourge Bone Chimes definitely the best. There's 6 of those drops on the map, by the way. 4 on the labs, 2 on the merchants. So plenty of opportunity to find really good items for the Orc. Same goes for the Night Elf, though. New Orc favorite move
really
to do in
bad.
the early game. Please go ahead.
Yeah, all really bad items. You see plenty of opportunities to find good, but yeah, it's like one or the other usually.
Yeah, it can go this way or the other. As we all know, sometimes you're blessed by RNG, sometimes you're cursed.
And yes, you were speaking of it. Like he goes for a Merc camp up there. That's because, you know, there's one of those items available that he's hoping is going to help him out a lot, but also because it's one of the easier camps that he can do at this stage by buying the mercenaries. And he gets a mantle and yet to see where the other one is. I guess he's waiting to use 2 salves to free one spot. Ready healing.
Forces are under attack.
Yep, very nice. Gonna help the Blade Master out. Surprisingly, no expansion yet. Easy for us to tell. We see it on the minimap. Fly, of course, is gonna be paranoid. He's gonna be scouting at all times, everywhere. Moon not interested yet in expanding. He opted for a faster tech, although it's not that fast, if we're being honest. But yeah, he's creeping a lot. The Keeper is going to be level 3 here before long, and a lot of scouting by Fly. We see the peon outside the main. He wants to make sure there's no APs coming. But yeah, there are no such buildings on the way. Moon, so far, being surprisingly uneconomic without an expansion.
It feels like they both kind of lost track of the opponent here. Moon getting level 3 here, by the way, he goes for Entangle level 2. So when you get a level 3 very quickly, like we can see the Spirit Lodge only now starting, you can try and fight and land some of these level 2 entangles before Shamans come into play. But Fly in this case, he already has a Forest Troll Shadow Priest that he bought at the Mercenary Camp, so he's already going to have Dispel in the form of Abolish available to help out against that.
Blade Master checks out the main. I like the level 2 Windwalk here on Twisted. Very large map. This is going to help with scouting a ton. Wait, has he not sold the TP from the early game? I guess so. He couldn't have bought a TP yet, so this is the TP from the early.
But he sold the flutes, so he already had a nice gold boost, so maybe he felt like keeping the Town Pole might be okay. I mean, to be honest, considering how sometimes, you know, his Blade Master gets a little out of line, might be nice to get it, that free escape. Or free, well, because you're supposed to sell it, I guess.
Oh, and the Blade scout the main, didn't see lures, Moon delayed them. Now we have the lures coming up. Fly, is he gonna be fooled by this? Is he gonna double check? Thanks to the level 2 Windwalk, he could do so easily. He's trying to creep the Troll away right now, the Troll Warlord, with his Blade Master solo. Another chance of the Scourge Bone Chimes, or Sobi Mask, or Boots of Quel'Thalas. Those are the really good items. And Lionhorn, everything else, pretty bad. Belt.
Yeah, he's getting a Bestiary, by the way. So he scouted a little late. I don't think he saw the lures yet, but yeah, he's going for a Bestiary. So maybe thinking about adding Raiders or maybe like one Kodo early on. And he might want to do a timing around the members. Okay, he's perfectly scouts that there is the lures. And the thing is, Moon is not going to know that Fly knows, I think, because he's just supposedly going to get out of there. But I see that Blade Master is still kind of probing around that main base. Demon Hunter shows up on the other side of the map. Is he just going to go around and engage here?
Would be a weird timing. Shaman out already. Oh, the Shadow Hunter has been storm bolted, or boulder tossed, I should say. Lots of Serpent Wards, a Snake Pit here, too dangerous to go into. Moon doesn't really want to fight. He would love to steal this item away from the Rock Golem, though. That would be wonderful. But Rock Golem dropping quick enough. I was about to say item on the ground, but okay, it's going to be going to Fly. Scroll of the Beast again. Wow. Fly with 3 horrible items from his first 3 big creep camps.
Yeah, but in this game, Moon went for lures. And he's not going to have a lot of wisps with him to fight with because he's not playing expansion. So if you engage out on the map and you have Scroll of the Beast, it could come in really handy, especially because in this game, you know, he went bestiary, so he's staying on one base maybe a little bit longer. So there is a chance we actually see it come into play and actually be useful in this game as opposed to last one where it did absolutely nothing.
Oh, Shadow. Oh boy. He didn't get the good big items, but the double mantle actually for the Shadow is really good. Parry-apt, not too bad for the Blade, and an expansion on tier 2 against the Mass Dryad style. Interesting. Shadowhunter still very hurt. He may have to TP out of this position. So close to level 3, by the way. Demon level 1, usually pretty squishy, but with these great items, he's surprisingly tanky.
Pick up the tome, mate. It's right here. He's focused on the fight right now. Blade coming in hot, starting to target down those Dryads. The pressure is on Moon to make something happen here. Shadowhunter really waiting as long as he can here before potentially getting out of there. He's gonna get targeted. He's about to get level 3, transfers the greater healing. And he didn't drop the PI of Vitality, as this fight is currently too stressful for that to actually happen. Dryads getting on top of those mercenaries here.
Oh, and it was a painful engagement by Moon. He's going to have to TP out, loses more Dryads, and Fly had the right read. He felt strong enough to go for the expansion, and indeed he was. Expo's going to be finishing, and he had 600 gold there just a second ago, going mass now into Raiders. The double bestiary transition against Dryads, we see that a lot. Once the heroes are strong enough, the Blade and the Shadow, that oftentimes means every end snare is a dead Dryad, and then the Night Elf has a very tough time stabilizing in the mid game and making it to Mountain Giants in the late game.
Yeah, that Blade Master showed up on time to really help out there with the greater healing transfer. He had the mana potion as well, which eventually now he just gave to the Shadowhunter, but yeah, still melee weapons on the way. So against this composition, Fly is actually prioritizing the attack as opposed to the armor that you do against the masked archer and hunts that we usually see. It's very interesting, and he's always getting pillaged pretty early as well. Like as soon as you have 2-3 raiders, he knows about the possibility of maybe attacking the Night Elf base, so he just gets pillaged. There is a chance he just tries and threatens going for the main base, but it looks like he's ready to fight, and he's going for it.
Downside of this mass Raider build is you don't have much dispel to work with, but you still have a few Shaman here. So off we go. End snares flying, no Serpent Wards up yet, but they're gonna be coming in now. Wisp detonates, absolutely crucial. Where are they gonna land? On the Shaman and on the Shadowhunter, perfectly placed. Out of mana now is the backline, but there's a mana potion still to use. Not too many Raiders left on the field. Heal throw would be wonderful, but there is none for the Auric. Level 4 now for the Blade Master. We're gonna have level 2, critical strike, level 2 for the Blade. He's getting a lot more tanky, and Moon having a comeback here in the middle of the map. Is he gonna win this fight? If he can, maybe he can keep on pressuring. But again, it is the Serpent Wards anchoring the position and Moon having to walk away from it.
Yeah, Fly has a lot of escape potential. Double speed scroll, he has a town portal if things get really dicey. And that stuff is so amazing. Like those players have such a good rhythm with it. He just stats back home with a Shadowhunter, picks up salves, picks up a clarity. And now going for more upgrades. He already has the +1 attack. He's going to go for the +1 armor. On the other side, we haven't had a single upgrade for the Dryad actually queued up, whether it's for attack or armor. There's just Ultra Vision. Nature's Blessing could come in really handy, actually, if he manages to connect with Wisps. This feels like Moon is all in here. He has to do a lot of damage, maybe win with his push. He needs to bring in Wisp, connect on those Shamans, and win this fight, because otherwise it's going to be Fly moving on to the semifinals.
And there's flying. 2 Dryads dead right away. 3rd Dryad about to drop right after. It's about the Snake Pit here once again. At the moment, not too many Serpent Wards out yet. So many units dying, dude. Hardly any healing, but lots of damage. Dryads or Raiders. What's going to come out on top? The Demon Hunter in trouble as well. The second hero, can he save him somehow? Item transfer? Doesn't get it off. He couldn't do anything there. He tried to staff him up, but he was end snare locked, and the hero dies. Fly now on the chase. Was this the nail in the coffin? You already said it. This was supposed to be an all-in, and the all-in doesn't work out well. If the keeper dies, this game is definitely over.
Yeah, Moon knows he's in a lot of trouble. There's so many Raiders on the chase here. They're gonna spam those end snares. He couldn't even get the surround, might not even need it. Blade Master critting left and right. Moon has no hero alive, and he's gonna be eliminated from the tournament here. In the top 6 in this quarterfinals, Fly moves on to the semifinals. He will get a rematch